Hello, my name is Jacob Kroger, and I'm going to talk and discuss about information regarding Chapter 6.1 of Cognitive Development. The general principles of development contain information regarding how children develop and how they absorb information that they can retain. Professionals and researchers alike have noted similarities between children and how they create similar patterns when it comes to children developing in predictable sequences. Each child can develop at different rates, but typically always end in the same place. Girls enter puberty around the age of 10 years old, while boys enter puberty at 11. Every child reaches big milestones at different times in their life, which is something to take note of as a learner of developmental tendencies. Development isn't a constant tendency in which children absorb, but rather a rapid means of growth. Children around the age of 1 could barely be making full words or using one-word fillers to address their points of emphasis, while at the age of 2.5, they could be using close to full sentences after hearing people around them socialize enough. This is important to take note of because of how rapid vocabulary can be obtained at early ages. Children in early years reflect their knowledge by learning through the technique of rehearsal, in which children repeatedly go over the same material in order to construct a firm meaning of the lesson at hand. Each child can be seen in different stages of the stage theory, in which basic details on each stage suggest where a student might be at specific ages in their learning career. Genes guide children's development through the process of maturation, which is a gradual genetic acquisition of physical and neurological capabilities. This is seen when a child learns to walk, run, and eventually lift things that seem particularly heavy to them. 6 main concepts of development are addressed through different viewpoints within Chapter 6.1. Each theory shows a significant difference in each other, but it's important to remember that they all shed light on the topic of development. We are all unique individuals, and each approach can appeal to different learners. The first approach is the cognitive developmental theory. Cognitive developmental theorists believe that the aspects of development can be seen as predictable and predetermined stages. Each stage builds on each other, becoming increasingly more competent and independent. Another approach is nativism. These theorists believe that behaviors are biologically built into our chemical build, and everything we do in nature is because of long-lasting genetics that are in our bodies. On the other hand, socioculturalists stress the role of social interaction at young ages and connecting the child to its native culture and heritage. They believe that social interactions guide the child to expand and mature in the way that they respond to nature. Information processing theorists see the mind as a muscle in a way. They believe that the child must expand the working memory in order to obtain information at higher levels and eventually train the mind to develop complex thought. Ecological systems theorists look into the way each child is raised and brought up because of environmental circumstances. Each child is raised in different circumstances, therefore leading to each child experiencing different developmental capabilities at different times in their lives. Psychodynamic theorists see the beginning of child development as a crucial point in which certain circumstances can determine the outcome for a child later in life. They believe that abnormal development has to do with the missing foundations from the child's early stages of life. After hearing all of these approaches, the effects of genes and the way that the environment can affect child development is something that most psychologists agree on. Psychologists disagree about how much each of these points actually contribute in part of the development of a child. Nature versus nurture is a topic that is always addressed between psychologists because of the power that the argument actually holds. Inherited genes play the role of nature, while the environment plays the role of nurture, in which it can shape a child to become different than what the genes deem. The most important thing to take away, however, from this lecture is that children control their own behaviors and influence their own development. Regardless of research, children are reactors to the environment at hand and will reflect to the stimuli as so. This creates the triangle in which genes, children's behavior, and the environment form individual characteristics which in return develop the child physically and neurologically. We see the importance in studying children because every child is raised in different circumstances. Social interactions vary from child to child, seeing that some children are shy and kept to themselves, while others are outgoing and very social. The key point to recognize here is that children can't be labeled as a certain stage of developmental growth all the time because we all develop at different times in our lives. Some faster while others are slower, but in the end, it usually comes full circle. Stages are meant to give brief characteristics to see if a child is on track to reaching the next milestone in their life. When a child struggles with that, we use resources from psychologists to push the child in a positive demeanor in order for them to properly develop. This is why each approach is important to take note of. Thank you for watching my lecture.